Hey folks, I'm James Ryan. I hope you're ready to get deep into the new Boss IR-200 amp and IR cabinet pedal. At the simplest level, the IR-200 is a full amp and IR cabinet solution in a really convenient pedal size. However, this is more like your amp in a box on steroids. You've got 8 different guitar amps to choose from, all the way from the cleanest of clean JC120 kind of territory right through to the most full-on shred metal tones, and you've also got 3 bass amps. One of the main reasons they're able to cram so much into the IR-200 is because there is some serious DSP grunt going on inside there. That basically means they're able to add a lot more features and control than you would typically have in these kind of pedals. One of the fantastic things about that extra DSP power has to do with the IR lengths. So you've got 2 options in the IR-200. You can load up to 200 millisecond IRs or up to 500 milliseconds. And that is huge, way bigger than anything that I've seen. So that just means that anything that's out there that you want to use and install into the IR-200, no problem, it's going to handle anything. We'll use the twin combo as the amp, and I'll just go through a range of these 212 cabs. To me, a lot of them do just sound a little bit thicker on the longer mode. I guess it's got a tiny bit more of the kind of room sound in there. We're just talking about a tiny bit. The shorter IRs do tend to be a bit brighter and a little snappier. I can hear the difference in that one pretty clearly. Certainly it's a slightly warmer. If I go back to the shorter, this is now the Vox style 212 cabs. There you can hear certainly a much more obvious kind of a sound difference between the two. In regards to the controls, it is a really intuitive little pedal. With the cabinet section, for example, obviously at the moment I'm just flicking through the different cabs. If I wanted to get in there a little bit deeper, I just push that button, and then I've got a range of other options in regards to the cabs. So that's essentially how it works with each of these. With the amp, I can push that, get into a few other amp options that you don't have just with the basic controls, and you just exit out of any of those. At the moment, I'm just going to leave the ambience or reverb off so that we're just hearing the cabs exactly as they are. But if I wanted to turn that back on, I just push the button down and then it comes back on. And the same with the amp and the cab. you can actually turn those off. If you wanted to use these in a particular setup where you didn't need either the amp model or the cab part of it, you could just turn those off. This is one of the things that the IR-200 has that really most IR pedals don't get into. So most of the time people will just use a fairly clean sort of an amp and use their pedals, but it is great to have a bigger variety of amps, so you could actually use this as a standalone go-to rig. Whether that be for a bit of an emergency rig or to have a super compact setup, you could have all of your amp tones just in here if you needed to. You get the idea, there is so many to choose from. The other thing that might seem really obvious but is something we don't often think about is how dramatic having a different cab can be. You can take an amp that you maybe didn't like the sound of all that much, but pair it with a different cab, and all of a sudden you've got a sound that you really like. Let's have a listen to a few of the Celestion IRs too. It is really cool knowing that you're actually playing through the IR of the actual vintage 30s or G12H speakers, because you know that is the actual Celestion sound. I mean, I would be happy using these kind of sounds for a gig, especially if I just switched a little bit of reverb back on. I think I could very easily forget that I'm playing through this little box that's, you know, about the size of my hand with those kind of sounds. Okay, now last but not least, as a matter of fact, I'd say it's probably closer to most, is using the IR-200 with a pedal board. So I've chosen a JC120 as the pedal platform amp. So here is just the straight amp first. This is one of my favorite sounds. If that was my sound at a gig, I'm going to be a very happy guy. That's some of the stuff you can do with the IR-200. I mean, there is more in there, but it is a fantastic little piece of gear to have and can be used in so many different ways. It's worth checking it out. It's the IR-200 from Boss.